Okay, Ashok, shall we
Yes,
start?
sir.
Okay. Okay, good evening, team. Good evening. This is Bala from TKP team. Uh, this is the second webinar section conducting from our TKF Textile Knowledge Point. Today's session is conducted from Mr. Ashok Kumar. He is
Sir,
having a bunch
Kamesh
of
from Nisman, sir.
experience in. Yeah, Kamish. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Ashok is having a 17 years experience in as a carbon technician in pre-production department, and he was completed diploma in handling technology for textile and fashion designing, and worked in so many companies like Ambatur Clothing and India Office of Pantaloon, Aditya Birla, and Star Design Group, and Eastman. Currently working as a technical manager in SGT Group. He is a very lovable and charm person. Is having a more technical knowledge regarding with the fit and communicating with all customers related fit issues and communication with all related from fabric to till shipping, whatever may be the doubts we can ask him. Today's section will be covered from Mr. Ashok. Before giving to Ashok, I have given a slight detail about him. Today the section will be about minimum construction standard. Team, could you able to hear me? If nobody is not hearing, let me know. Let me watch. Let me raise your voice. You are hearing? Ashok, clear? My voice clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear, sir.
My voice clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. Okay. Happy to once again happy to inform you the textile knowledge point session group was started almost 1.5 months we have crossed. We got n number of wishes and n number of updates daily basis. So also when we started this group, we expected only the 50 to 60 people will be joined. But now we got around 230 to 240 people in this group, and each and everyone sharing their own knowledge points. It's very happy to see, and we are getting a more quick solutions with each and every issues. Thanks for the team. Also, we have planning to create a YouTube platform for Textile Knowledge Point Group. From today onwards, whatever may be the video webinars will be uploaded in YouTube, and that links will be shared with our teams. Who are interested to share with others, let me share with others to subscribe that link. It will be reached to all. The only aim to share our knowledge to all of our team and all of our colleagues who are in around world. That is the main agenda of this textile group was created. I cannot take more time. I am handing to Mr. Ashok for this further webinar section. This section is minimum construction standard. Actually, this section have lengthy of slides are there. So we plan to make 3 to 4 section about this minimum construction standard. So today 1 hour we will take a part 1 section. So this part 1 section will give 20 to 25 slides, whatever maybe that we can discuss. Also, this is not only the one way of construction of discussing point. Who all are interested, let me open the mute and speak about your experience about minimum construction standards. What are maybe the slides we are showing? So we ready to take your points over there. Over to Ashok. Thanks, team.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thanks to you and Chokalingam who helped me to make this presentation. Today we are discussing about the minimum construction standard. That's like any construction standard for making a garment. So we are just talking about the minimum requirement for any making garment. So it's not the only thing, whatever we are saying today. These are all the minimum requirement, but it's based on the design and the customer requirement and the cost and styling based on the market. So it will vary from product to brand and product to product and based on the price. So you have to follow your individual brands, customers' comments and their tech packs, their construction manuals for that one. So we are giving just a basic standards that is required for us to learn with based on our experience. So I will tell you based on my experience for making a product. So because product itself, we have a lot of products in terms of garment industry. The industry what we're doing, wovens is totally different from knits, and denims is totally a different kind of experience, and sweaters will be different experience, and whatever we do accessories and home textiles is totally different. But still all our basic things are stitching and everything, but it's all product to product, the missionaries, and based on the designing it will vary. So we discuss about the minimum standards that is required, and this is not the only one we need to follow. There are like we covering only the minimum, but there are wide ranges there, and we can discuss and sharing, because I am here to share what my knowledge and my learnings to you, and I am also interested to learn from you all people. I'm welcome to all to discuss. I'm just showing the hints of the slides, so I want everyone to share your experience, like challenges you faced, wherever you faced some failures, and how you handle that situation, what solutions you made to correct it, and how you got approvals, and what are the challenges you faced in making production in terms of meeting the quality as per the customer requirement. So all these things, it be like two-way communication. I want everyone to encourage to share your opinions and suggestions, feedbacks. It will help us to have this discussion very useful for everyone. Starting with that, I can say the introduction of construction standard is the quality that whatever we decide that construction making the garment from the initial sketch.
Ashok, sorry to interrupt, Ashok. Just a minute. Team, this is the slide which are Ashok showing. This is not a one way of Ashok interrupting the answer questions. Who all are having a much experience in this field. Let me put your inputs also. Also request, if you're not able to put your inputs, please make a notes in chat box. Also, we will discuss over in the last section of 5 or 10 minutes. Sorry, sir, you can continue. Thanks.
The introduction of construction guideline is that this is the quality, like when we're making the initial garments, we normally working with most of the people are working in the garment industry of export market. So the starting is we getting the line diagram or a sketch from the buyer. So that initial prototype pack will not have the proper graded specs or proper construction detail. Sometimes they'll give only the hand-drawn sketch and without any detailing. So we using our experience in handling those products, so we have to make the first proto samples, and then after seeing the proto samples with the review, the design and buying team, and they will finalize the styling based on the cost, and then they work on the proper clear technical sketches, then give the proper construction details, and then we proceed to fit samples. But it starts all with the hand-drawn sketches. So in that type of hand-drawn sketches, we should know, they give only the styling detail. They will not mention what kind of seams, how many top stitches required, or a single needle or double needle or three needle, is a overlock or front seam. But this is all based on the customer and the based on the price range and the quality, the requirement. So we have to choose the right construction based on the fabric what we are using, and we have to do it. So it's like making that technical initial proto sample is the backbone of the thing. So whatever we make, it has to meet the design requirement, and also that construction should also feasible for the bulk to make the manufacturing without any quality issue. And also when the product reach to the end customer who are using this garment on a daily basis, they should not find any kind of failures in terms of like some seam opening or damage or openings, anything. So the construction standards, choosing the right product is the backbone, because it's also related to the costing and also to the production feasibilities, and also to the end customer's quality also for the life of the garment. So for that, we should have that one mind, like think we have to all has to be in one mind. We have to think alike and work as one unit. So that is the reason why we have the standards to everyone has to think in the same way, from the buyer side and the designers, or in the costing, making merchandisers, when the pattern master making the pattern for the construction, when the sewing people making it, and the quality people will review the quality and constructions, and when it reaches to the customers, how the product performs in multiple usage. For example, if it is a active wear, that's required more kind of strength and more stretchability. So based on the end use of the product, we have to choose the right constructions and the seams and the stitches and right kind of machineries to use. So for that, we need a standard to make everyone to think same, like one-minded, and think same, and we have to work as a unit. So we have to build a team which has to communicate it like a whole team, like a person who are a merchandiser as a main beacon, as a bridge to connect all the departments, and also the technical manager or technical designer or technicians also to related to technical things has to coordinate with all the teams in a company called like merchandisers to help them to understand the right costing. They had to work with the industrial engineers to take the right SAM, to work with the sample rooms to make the samples in the right constructions, to work with the factories to make the folders and guides and construction feasibilities based on that. So the technical person has to link all the departments, and you make and also you should know what is the design requirement, and also you should know how the government will perform in the government pack GPT testing, and also the end customer usage. There should not be any failure returns in the government reaches to the store or to the customer. So when we making the government, if it is, yeah. Yes, please. So making the government, we have to make sure that the government should at least meet the minimum construction standard. If it is not given in the tech pack, we always welcome to have a call out to the customer in the sample tag or in the common forms when submitting the samples to the customer and getting it approvals. So what do customer?
One more thing adding here. Yeah. Tell me. Sorry, tell me.
What do the customer look for in a product? They mainly the customer will see the aesthetic look of the garment, whether the garment will wearing it looks right for the customer, and the function, how it works, right? When they're wearing it, if it is has to function, like as I said, it's an active wear, they should have that kind of it should allow the customer to do that kind of movements and flexibility and comfort for them to use for it for the purpose. And the sensory is how the garment feels, the hand feel of the garment. So if the customer feels that garment looks great and also it meets the purpose of the function and it feels soft and comfort, then definitely the customer will stick to the product and they will, that is the expectations. So when we say always the customer satisfaction is must, because then only we'll get more business and we get a good profit in that one, and so it be like a good of way of doing the business. But for that, when we expect our customers or factory buyers treat us to be 5-star quality, we should also think that we should start treating them also in the same 5-star quality. Whatever we expect the others to treat us the same way, once we start treating them, automatically we'll get a similar kind of response from the customers. We will also get the same kind of treatment from them. So whenever we're doing it, so make the service to making to the customer satisfaction. So they will have that, because these all purely making the relationship will help us to do the long term, because it's not only making one style and getting a profit in one style. We have to think how we have to build it, make that product.
Ashok, one more point here adding, Ashok. Please
Yes.
go before slides. Last slide. Actually, here the production people will know. Some of the cases, the sampling is done according to 1 or 2 pieces, but bulk we have some friendly production issues over there. So it has to be covered over in the sampling itself. What I'm talking, the some construction is not achievable in production, but sample 1 or 2 pieces they can achieve. So that much of cases has to be evaluated in during the discussion stage in the sampling itself. It has to be kept many mind during the sampling stage. Correct, Ashok? When I'm telling this correct.
Yes, yeah. Because I have made one T-shirt which having a tape at the chest area, across chest. They made the sample. They seeing that they don't have the chain stitch machine, or they have to wait for the mechanic to do it. They have attached the tape with the lock stitch and they made the garment. When goes to production, they also start copying it. But thing is, when a T-shirt, when somebody pull over the garment, it immediately breaks. We have a 10,000 pieces. It's a huge risk that the whole garment cannot be sold to the customer. It will lead into claims only. But those things we have to check. We're making
that's the team.
one.
Yes, correct. That's the
They should
team
not
we are
check.
conveying here. When you're doing the sampling, please ensure that the production feasibility in mind. Because 1 or 2 samples only we are doing. Whether we can check with production team also whether the sample is possible for production. It's a simple workmanship, but it will be different for production. So it will be feasible for end customer also. That has to be keep in mind in sampling doing stage.
The
Anybody having
process
any
has to be the
questions
same.
or
Making. Yeah,
anybody
we're
having
making
a
the. Yes,
questions or anybody having a inputs, please let me open your voice. This is the platform to give your inputs. That's why we created this group on this webinar.
For making sample also,
Yeah,
they
sir.
have to do the same kind of technique or method. They whatever they want to do it in the bulk, same thing they have to do it. They cannot do the printing here it in the panel form, and then they cannot expect the bulk to do it in the ready cut panel. It cannot be possible. So again, we lead into some problems. So we have to do the same process. And the purpose of making sample is not only to get approval for the fit sample, PP sample from the customer. The main purpose of the sample room is that doing the research and development like R&D to make sure that what the product is making in sample room is doing the 100% like efficient for the bulk production. They should see, or the method has to make the production process very easy. For that, they have to do the research and invent the right kind of method, the process flow, and also the right construction. They have to do it. It's not only taking approvals of fit sample and PP sample, like getting the fabric at 3 o'clock and couriering the sample at 6 o'clock, getting approval in 2 days, handing over the file in the next day, will lead into a lot of problems in the bulk production, because the bulk production will not have time to do the R&D well before starting the production. That's what more majorly happening here. That's why we lose a lot of time in production. They're not able to start. Otherwise, if they hurry in starting also, they end up with a lot of reworks and corrections and rejections and remakes, because they should not do any R&D at the production. So all the things happen at the sample room. That's why we suggest always do the risk analysis meeting before going into the fit samples. Once the proto is done, once the style is confirmed, they have to take a meeting with the factory IEs and pattern masters and quality people, do the thorough study on the product, and they have to understand what kind of machineries are required, what kind of holders, how much margin is required, and all the challenges what they're going to have in the bulk. They should be studied, and they have to be ready for facing that in the bulk production, and they have to do it immediately without stopping anything in the bulk production. They should not hold the bulk or getting some approvals and they want to change the construction in the middle. It's not feasible. Can we move on to next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay, move, sir.
I think Murthy, you able to hear me the voice? I think your voice symbol is not visible. Murthy, let me mute and let me know. Your voice is getting clear. Ashok voice is hearing to you. Team, all clear? Shall we move?
Clear,
Okay,
sir.
okay. Yeah, okay.
What is
Okay,
the customer point of view? So we have to think what is easy for us. We have to see what is the customer point of view, who is the buyer or the end customer. If the customer is not satisfied with the product, what will happen? The customer is the most important visitor to the business. He is not the dependent on us. Only we are dependent on him. Like we need the business. So if the customer is not there, we will not have a business. And he is not interruption to work. He is not disturbing, or he is not a thing. He is the purpose of it. So he whatever he is asking, he has to do the service, and he should not feel, because he is the customer, he should get satisfied. Then only we get more orders, more business. And he is not an outsider to our business. He is part of it, because without he placing order, we cannot able to function. And we are not doing any favor by serving him. So this is our duty, that it is an opportunity they are giving to us, and we have to do that thing to them to get the business. So you should not think that the customer is different and we have to do on our own interest. So because we are taking that order from them, and we have to do the complete service to them, and building the relationship, will get a long-term benefit of it, getting the good business and getting more profit on that one. So if they are not satisfied with the thing, what happened, that again we get the less orders, and it will be otherwise our orders will move to the competitors, or otherwise the business will not even come to us. It will go to somebody else. To how to we can avoid dissatisfaction is that we have to train all the employees and everybody in the team, like from the product development or merchandising, production, quality, from finance, and everybody, to understand what is the customer and what is the requirement and what is the process and things. So we have to do a proper training to all the team, and everybody has to align and understand to do the whatever the customer requirement is there, we have to meet it. If the customers are satisfied and they are good, they might be going and spread it to 8 people or more than that, and saying that we am working with this such kind of vendors and their service is good and their quality was good. But if we don't do a proper service, a dissatisfied customer will move to somebody else, and they will also spread to 53 people. Normally negative things spread more faster than the positive ones, and it will automatically, we will end up with, even it will affect other customers also to get panic to place orders with us, and will not be able to get the right kind of things, because the trust and the relationship is very important in the business. Doing small things for getting small benefit of with things, save for saving small things, we should not lose a big thing like a customer. So we have to be very careful at the time of taking orders and doing the service for the customers. The type of customers are dissatisfied customers, like they dissatisfied because they are not met the proper requirements. So if they're not met the proper requirement, sometimes they do the complaint, or what will they do? Otherwise, next time they will not come and do any kind of business with us or purchase with that brand. So they will lose that customer. If it is a satisfied customer, they not look for any alternative, but he may try it, even though it's a requirement. But some customers who are delighted because they feel that our service exceeds the requirement, they become committed to our brand, they become loyal, and they will trust the brand and become a permanent customer. They always go and buy definitely based on our brand. They will not look for any other things in terms of price or anything. Even if it is lead time is more also, they will stick to us and they will support us in giving business. That's how the delighted customer is going to be. We can able to get them by providing the quality and standards exceeding their requirement. So we'll get a delighted customer for it. Because of delighted customer, we'll get the continuous business, talks about his delight to his friends and others, higher market share resulting in lower cost. You'll get the premium price because we're getting the higher profits, and delighting and retaining customer is more profitable than getting a new customer, because delighted customer will be more benefit than getting a new customer. For example, if we see in Maruti Suzuki, once upon a time, the Shift car was liked by many people, and everybody was waiting for it. Like 6 months, the waiting period is there. They will wait for it, even though the cost, cost is also, somebody feels higher also, more than their budget also. They will try to increase their budget to get the car, and all these things. If you see that how people are waiting for that car and everybody purchasing it because of the satisfaction by the customers, and many people have spread saying that their maintenance was less and their performance mileage was good and everything. So we have seen that there are many products like that in the market, where customers will be waiting for it to get only for the particular brand. They will ready to spend more money. They will want to wait for that one only, and that's how it's going to be. Have to make the customer to get delighted. If the customers are satisfied,
yeah, so that's why I'm telling that the end customer satisfaction is, we have to buy the customer first. We feel the customer satisfaction, then we give you a customer satisfaction. What I'm telling, what are the product we are doing, we have to feel and love it before sending to customers. Then the end customer will be happy, and the buyers will be happy, and the smoothness will be going at all area. Correct, Ashok? What I'm trying to say, what are the products we are doing, what are the sampling we are doing, first we have to love the term, we have to satisfy before sending to the customer. And what are the production we are doing before offering to QA or offering to the customer party, we have to get what are the make the product is up to the mark, and we are satisfied with that. So then the customer will not lose us, and we will have a more knowledge about the customer, and customer relationship also very good, and cross-functional teams also will be happy, and we are get the more orders. Yeah, so correct.
Giving the product at the right time, and we giving the product at the right place and the right quantity and the right quality, we will definitely meet the customer satisfaction. The general construction standards is based on the garment, the fabric and its selling price, the type of fabric we are going to use and type of selling price. The high value garments will look for a premium and high quality constructions with a clean finish, French seams and all thing. But based on the pricing with the mass market, they will go with the overlock thing. So we have to understand the customers' price bracket and the end customers' market segment, and based on that, we can able to choose the right construction for the right product. So based on that, the costing has to be done clearly. So it will be clear the basic standards followed. We also know what, because sometimes we take the cost the lesser, and later time the customer will come back and asking for a different construction, but they will not ready to pay for upcharges because of the misunderstanding, or we are not done the right costing for the right seam. So we end up with the loss, or we do higher costing. Because of that, we may lose the bidding, like the orders may go to some other customer vendor, because they might have quoted with a less price. By maybe they choose the right construction or we taken the premium construction, which because the costing will be higher. So this kind of misunderstanding will happen. That's why we always set the construction standard that will be clear for the customer who is placing order, and also the merchant who is doing the costing, and also the technical team who are a sampling team who is stitching the sample, and the production factory which is doing the bulk production. So everybody should know the each brands what is the construction standard of that particular brand based on the pricing and their market, and we have to follow that standards only. So the meaning of that accepting an order from the customer is evidence that the supplier understand the customer's requirements. To build practice of maintaining a quality in process and operations, and we have to ensure the zero defect in merchandising to reach the stores, because nowadays we do all online business, so each product goes to different customers, so they receive only one product. But if we go to stores, we have 10-15 pieces. If we see one product is very crushed, or if it is having some stain, we can take another piece and then we can come back. So we will not lose the customer in that case. So the defect will not majorly affect. But if it is an online sales, if it reaches to somebody placing an order through online, if they receive one piece and if that piece is stain or some defect or something, he will return back, and he might not be having that kind of patient to wait for another replacement or something. He immediately switch over to another customer, so another brand. So we are going to lose it. So we have to make sure how to, because now day by day the online business is going, so the quality requirements in future is going to be very strict, and they might be wanting the zero defects in future. So the better the best in the world, that is like whatever is the best, we have to be better than the best in the world. So when we are making some constructions, we always have to think, because every day a new technology is coming, new machinery is there, a new way of learning is there. Because even after my so much of years of experience, and still every day by seeing any new design, every day I'm still learning by discussing that style with any people in the meetings, or with handling the product and making sample room, or handing over to the productions, or getting the feedback from the customers. And every day we are learning new things. So we have to start using that new knowledge in every day, whatever we are doing it. We should not keep doing the same thing what we do for in the past. We have to every day we have to improve it, and we should not say anything to the customer saying that this style is not feasible or difficult, or I cannot do it, because you have to think it's a global market. If we are not doing it in here, there are somebody else will do it. If somebody can say I'm not able to do it in Bangalore, there are many people who are ready to do the same thing in Tirupur, or somebody can do it in Sri Lanka or in Bangladesh or China. So we always has to see we have to be better than the best in the world. So all these things will start happening, making the sample room when we're doing the garment from the initial sketch, because to making the garment, that construction they're choosing, it has to be the best one to meet everyone's purpose in terms of the customer, in terms of costing, in terms of manufacturing, for making it more productivity efficiently and with less quality issues, and to meet the requirement of the end customer. So any other point to add from your side?
Yeah, no. Let me ask the audience. Ashok, let me ask the audience. Anybody else? Yeah, somebody is asking. Yeah.
The fit block patterns is the first thing. Along with the initial sketches, normally they give the block pattern from the customer. That is the representative of that body form, and they're giving the starting point to make the block pattern. Normally the block pattern will not be the exact styling or exact measurements of what is the requirement. The block pattern is only to give the reference of the right fit for the particular base body. It is only a block, a starting point to make the pattern. So do not have the right styling or a seam allowance, or it can be 1 inch plus or minus, but we have to keep the block pattern as a starting point, as a reference. We have to modify and create a styling pattern to meet the designer's requirement, and then we can use that pattern for within costing purpose. So for every customers, we have to check with the customer whether they have any block pattern. So it will help us to avoid the rejections of fit samples. By following the block pattern, we will able to get the fit approval on the one first fit, or minimum within the 2 fits. We can go into PV samples and not have much of corrections or updations or any other fit issues. So when we're getting any kind of block pattern for ovens, to decide whether we need to have a dart or not having the dart, We have to decide based on, for example, it is a closer fitting women's, then generally we'll have a bust dart because women's fabrics are rigid. It's not like it's like a stretchable or anything close to the body. It will have some kind of easiness, and that easiness has to be eliminated by using the bust darts. So whenever you have a sleeveless styles, generally it requires a bust dart. If the block pattern is not having it, you can always check with the technical designer of the brand, and then before proceeding into the samples. If they have a bust dart in the block pattern, we should definitely, sometimes in the sketch they might have failed to mark the dart in the sketch technical drawing. But if the block pattern is having a dart, we definitely has to follow as per the block, and we have to call it to the call it out to the customer for approval. Or before making samples, we can write a mail to the brand and take approval and proceed it. So always I suggest, whenever you have any doubts by seeing the new tech pack, take all the clarification after making the initial pattern, before making to the samples, get it clarified from the customer. Then, because nowadays we are having a lot of video calls we can do mail communications, we can send the e-patterns, and nowadays we are having all the options of making the three-dimensional 3D garments also. So that will help us to take all the approvals within a day. With like 24 hours time, we can able to make a 3D garment, or we can send the 2D patterns, or we can send the photos or mock-ups, taking an approval in the mail itself. Then proceeding to sample making will save a lot of time on rejections and timeline for everything. So I suggest always make all the clarification cleared before making the first samples. So how to adjust the block pattern for a tops is that this, can you able to see my mouse, yellow color mouse? So this is a shoulder slope. We always, when you're getting a buyer block pattern, as I said, it cannot be the right styling or right spec, but we have to respect the shape and we have to follow the shape without distorting the fit. So we have to keep the shoulder slope as per the buyer block. If we find any deviation between the spec and the block pattern, we can able to always alert to the customer and take approvals, or we can submit options and do it. Once the shoulder slope is changed, your entire garment balance will get affected. And we have to maintain the armhole ratio, the front and back armhole ratio, to be evenly maintained as per the block patterns. We cannot adjust one to the front armhole or the back armhole. The ratio needs to be maintained. And when we're adding anything to the chest, waist, and bottom, it has to be evenly added in all the side seams. The underarm area has to always be the smooth curve at the underarm area. And when you join the shoulder seam also, you should have a smooth curve, and it should not have any V or A shape in that area. It should be smooth, will be helping to attach the sleeve properly and to get the right measurements. These are the basic guidelines for adjusting the block pattern for a tops. While adjusting the sleeves also, you have to see how it is. Like here in first one, it is like parallelly, it has been adjusted to meet the body armhole. When adjusting in the underarm also, it's been done evenly. But in the other second picture, it is mentioned like it was moved to the only at the front, and back it is like totally the shape has been changed to meet the spec. So this is a wrong way of doing it. And Ashok, this is also
Ashok, for front and back marking, we have to how do we identify over the sleeve?
The double notch and single notch. So when we have a double notch and the single notch,
double notch at back and the single notch is the front, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So maintaining the shoulder slope is very important, and we have to adjust the length. We can do it. Length is not an issue. The dart and the sleeve. So we can see the picture, so we can have to understand what is like right and wrong. It should be even and uniform, following respecting the shape of the block patterns. And shoulder slope is very important one when adjusting the tops. We have to respect to the block pattern. If it is deviation, we have to alert while submitting the sample to the customer. Sometimes they give 1.5 in spec and 1/3/4 inch in the block pattern. We can choose based on the block patterns, and we can alert to the customer saying we followed as per the block. Or we can take clarification, then proceed to sample making. For a shirts or for a trousers, the adjustments is like the back raise needs to not be anything to be altered. The shape needs to be respected. And if they want to increase or reduce the back raise, it has to be done at the waistline. And hip areas, it can be done evenly. Like if you want to reduce 1/2 inch, we can do 1/8 inch at the front, left side and right side, and back also 1/8, evenly done 1/8 all the sides. Adjusting the thigh or knee or bottom also the same way. But the back rise shape is very important, and the rise shape should not get changed from the block pattern. So if there is a major change is required, we have to have a discussion with the tech designer, and then we have to alter it. Otherwise, we have to add only to the top at the waist area only. For adjusting waistband also, it should be altered only at the bottom of waistband, as shown in the green dotted line. It should not be done at the top line, because the top line is the waist sitting position on the dress form or the body. If you increase or reducing that one, the garment position will change. So it has to be adjusted at the bottom only, the waistband and waist shape also. So when the block pattern comes, we have to follow this as a basic rule. So we will not get rejections from our side, because when the rejections are there, and again we lead into any handover delays or production delays. If we ask for a lead extension to the customer, they definitely take out all the histories, and they say because of the wrong pattern or wrong submission of samples only it got rejected, and it will be that whatever is there delay, again the ash shipment cost will come onto the factory or will not get extension. But if you do the right process of handling the block pattern, if the block is incorrect also, that is the customer's problem. But yeah. Yes, sir.
Ashok, if the waist is rib or self-fabric, the black pattern is different or the same black pattern we have to use?
I didn't get you, sir. Sorry.
If the waist,
Yes,
actually what I'm telling, the waist part is body fabric is ebonite and waist part is rib. Another one construction with the waist with the same self fabric. So the black pattern will be different, or we can use the same black pattern, or only the adjustment will be different on the waist.
we have to follow the block pattern. Buyer will give the block patterns. So if it is a self fabric, means that it's a wovens, means they have a contour shape will be there. Rib is normally cut in a straight, so it will adjust to the shape. I'm just telling you, we have to, when you receive the block pattern, we have to follow that shape. So any rejection comes, it will be a fault of the customer only, because they given the block and we have followed it. But if we don't do the block pattern properly, then any rejections, they'll delay.
What you're trying to say, black pattern only reads for shape.
Shapes, yes.
According to the measurement, we have to follow the spec.
Yes, yes. Like how we are doing grading like that, we have
to meet the measurement. Only shape we cannot decide.
Yes, yes. Shape should not be decided. And in the top, the shoulder slope is very important. For a trouser, the back raise is very, very important. Because other areas you are increasing, reducing at the hip and the thigh, knee, and everything, it will be only to meeting the measurements. That will not be any causing any fit issues. It will only become closer.
Let ask some audience question. They have any questions about it, because they are more silent. I think need to raise your voice. Ask somebody. Hey, team, please let me open your voice. Kamesh, come on.
Because when you make any pattern corrections as per the styling, we have to do a superimposed and check how the dotted line. And the dotted line is a new. So dotted line is a new pattern.
So many people are there. Yeah, Ashok, just a minute. Yeah, tell me. Ask your questions. I think.
Yeah,
Mutraj, tell me, Mutraj.
The pattern is same, sir. ஆனா ஸ்டைல் வைஸுக்கு வந்து ஷேப் இதுக்கு மட்டும் நம்ம பிளாக் பண்ணி யூஸ் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு மற்ற ஆல் சைஸ் ரிப்பு அந்த மாதிரி வரும்போது ஒரு பீஸ் தச்சு பார்த்துட்டு அதுக்கு தகுந்த மாதிரி எவ்வளவு ஸ்ட்ரிங்க் ஆகுது எவ்வளவு எலாங்கட் ஆகுதுன்னு பார்த்துட்டு அதுக்கு தகுந்த நம்ம பேட்டர்ன் வந்து மாத்திக்குவாங்க. ஆனா என்ன பேட்டர்ன்ல சேஞ்ச் பண்ணாலும் அந்த பிளாக் மாறாத அளவுக்கு பாத்துக்குவோம்.
The shrinkage is different. Shrinkage is an additional thing that is vendor's responsibility to meet the specs. They have to increase or reducing for the shrinkage. That is okay. But when we're making the thing pattern, it's only the zero pattern. We have to make a superimpose and check how the dotted line will be the new pattern, solid line will be the old pattern, and the technician has to review and identify that because of the meeting the measurement, the shape should not get changed. So because the important of fit is only it comes for the bottoms is main area is the front raise and back raise. For a tops main area, the balance of the garment will mainly depend on the shoulder slopes. When we change that from the block, definitely the fit will get rejected.
Mutraj, as per my understanding, I gained from Ashok, I try to understand what are the black pattern buyer giving. They already fitted with their fit with their countries, some people, and they have freeze the black pattern. It's called black pattern or mother pattern. I think
sometimes they will take any garment
called mother pattern.
Yeah, sometimes they take some block pattern which is selling more nicely into the customer and without any complaint. That also they take it as a block.
Yeah, correct. When the fit is selling more and the fit is according to the US market and US men's and women's fit and Germany or Europe, whatever may be, the fits which are freeze in that market, they are called as black pattern. Not mother thread. That's why you're trying to say.
Whichever style is having a good
Okay.
feedback from the customer, they will take that as a block and they will create multiple style using the same block. They're using different fabric, different panels, styling lines, adding pocket, removing it, seams and everything. They make a new styling with the new colors, but the shape
Only
or
the shape will be there. Remains the same.
That is based on the customer feedbacks. Whoever giving the positive response on the fit, based on that, they will choose that particular styles and use that as a block pattern to make many styles in the upcoming seasons to avoid any fit issues.
Okay, great. Mudraj, do you have any questions? Other?
No, sir. Okay, sir. It is correct.
Thank you. Any other?
Okay.
Any other team? Do you have any other adding points? Okay, sure. More.
So after making the block pattern initially, when we get the initial tech packs, we do the study on the initial tech packs. Then we will do the pattern using the block pattern. Then we will move on to making the samples. So for that, making into the stitching machine, the main important thing is the thread to start the process of sewing. So we have to be very careful the right kind of thread to be used based on the fabric type and also the end use of the garment, and also based on the costing, we have to choose the right thread. So normally for sewing industry, for export markets, normally we using a 3-ply yarn and with the poly thread, we call it polycore and poly wrap thread. And the size of the thread will depend on the fabric weight. With the lightweight fabrics, which will use Tex 18, very lightweight flimsy fabric like oil and cambric and all. When we're using a fabric with the poplin and everything, we'll use Tex 30, or something medium weight fabric will get Tex 40 to 60. Then heavyweight fabrics with the canvas, denim and everything, we'll go for Tex 105, 80 or 150 also. We using Tex 180 for denims. These are heavy garments. So, but it is all we using the polycore and poly wrap thread, which is a thread which is having the high quality of strength and also high elongation and also have high strength, and it can withstand all the process of washing and garment dyeing and every process. So polycore poly wrap thread is highly recommended for making all the garments. There are like monofilament threads which are available, like filament yarns, which is not to be used. Many customers have banned that. It should not be used on any type of garments. The monofilament yarn should not be used. And for stretch fabrics, we need a kind of the thread also should stretch to the material. So there are special threads which are available with Coats and Vardhaman and all the customer brands, thread suppliers, which is called yellow flex thread or Subaflex thread. So we had to use the thread. It looked like having elasticity up to 30 to 50% of elongation will be there, which can be used for wovens with high stretch content are there. We have to use that kind of thing to avoid the seam failures or stitch breakages while customer usage. So we have to use that stretchable thread for making into these kind of things, stretchable woven stretch fabrics. For thread types and sizes are also based on the fabric quality, and it will be depend on the tech designer. So somebody wants a thicker thread on top stitching, so we have to follow the BOM. For attaching seams, the technical designer or factory can take a call based on the fabric weight. For attaching the inside attaching panel attaching seam, overlock or label attaching or lining materials, pocketing or a blind stitch, basting on all this operation like button stitch, buttonhole, we have to the technician has to work with doing trials, and we have to use the right quality of thread.
Ashok, what is the 2-4? Was it equal to Tex 18?
Is the ounce fabric weight ounce? Normally they say lightweight means they say in the fabric weight how we call as a GSM for knits. So sometimes woven fabrics they come with they mention as a 2 to 4 ounce and 8 to 10 ounce like that. The fabric weight.
Then for knits, how can we? Then knits we can. How can
we can convert? These are the 1 units only, so we can convert. Yeah, we GSM we can able to convert it. If it is 140 GSM, 160 GSM, we can use the Tex 24 thread. If it is 180, 200 GSM, we can use the Tex 30, 40. If it's higher fleece or everything, Tex 60, 70, we can use it. 300 GSM.
Okay. So, which is the best thread when it goes, the garment goes for washing?
For washing, because normally for if we say poly thread is mostly they say the cost is slightly higher. There are other thread called Asta spun poly thread, which they say it is compared to the price. But when you see the seam strength compared to Asta to poly will have 40 to more than the Asta thread, and also the surface will be very clean. It will not have any hairiness or anything because it's a filament yarn. But spun poly is a spun poly, like staple spun poly, staple yarn. So that is like slightly cheaper than the poly. That is also 100% polyester. that is also can be used. When you come to say wash programs with the high heavy washes are there, to withstand that, I say we can suggest the poly thread for that one. But if we want that washed look on the garment, the same thread should not be, because this is a polyester yarn. When you're using 100% cotton, washed look of the garment will be different. The thread will look contrasted. But if you want the thread also to merge with the fabric in appearance, there is a thread called the decore thread, cotton, polycore cotton wrap. Polycore cotton wrap. So it gives the strength of the polyester, and also it gives the appearance of the cotton. So that appearance wise, it is good for a wash garment. That is even more costlier than
polycore. What is that name? Polycore cotton thread.
So they, in course they call decore.
Okay.
That is the technical word is polycore cotton wrap.
Polycore cotton.
Yeah, polycore cotton wrap. You can tell any thread supplier, you will get it, because every customer, every supplier have different branding name, but the technical name is polycore cotton wrap. So inside will be a filament, polycore, and around the polycore they wrapped with the cotton fibers. So it is costlier than poly thread. That is the best one for wash garments, because to get that look of the garment, actually wash look for cotton fabrics. And also suggested to use for garment dyeing also. For garment dyeing also, when using % cotton thread, there are a lot of failures in the washing. They end up with the seam failures. We're not able to alter with the same shade thread in garment dyeing process. So for garment dyeing also, we can use that thread. They normally they call it core dye thread. The same cotton polycore cotton wrap. What they'll do is, if we place the order with the supplier, they will dye the core polyester. The process of making thread itself, they require a garment dye color, and the cotton will be in normal gray color only. When we are stitching it and send for garment dyeing, the cotton will get dyed to the garment color itself automatically. So for garment dyeing also,
But Ashok, we have to select a two-tone darker for garment, correct? Or two-tone lighter.
No, sir. This we are
polyester.
That's what the cotton
polycore cotton wrap. I understand what I'm trying to say. Once the garment dye be done, we're not able to predict how the colors will be there, right?
In that thread, the cotton is not dyed only. It will come in a gray form. The cotton will dyed in the time of dyeing process.
Polycotton, you're talking about the polyester will be dyed in the garment dyed.
No, polyester core
will be dyed in the.
That is not visible outside. That will be inside. So outside is cotton. So the cotton will come as a gray gray only.
No. What I'm trying to ask, 100% cotton for garment dyeing. Normally in the textile we are using RFT thread. It is
yes, they call RFT thread. Yes.
Okay. Then what you're trying to say, the RFT will be there is a chance for thread breakage. Okay, leave it. What you're trying to say, so you have to use polycore thread. So
polycore cotton wrap.
Cotton wrap. Cotton wraps mean the cotton will be dye after the dye garment dyed. The polyester will be there, so there won't be any thread breakage.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, Ashok is meant to say that inside the polyester already they will give the dyed. Over that
we have
they
to
will
give the color standard.
With the RFD yarn.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I understand, but the color mean what color? What are the required color they can give?
Yes, sir, required color. We have to give the color. Placing order, we have to give the color Pantone shade. This is they will.
Yeah, I understand.
So we can give one tone darker, lighter. We can take a call.
But Ashok, what I'm trying to ask this question again, but please don't take it to mistake. Why I asking again means the common dyed colors will be not predictable before the dyeing. Correct? It will be light or darker. When when the supplier is giving red color darker for making a core cotton, the bulk is coming out with a light red paint.
That's why the cotton is already RFD only. It's not dyed. It's an RFD only. So what color is going to the fabric, the same color goes to thread also. The same cotton only.
Thread also.
The polyester is not visible outside, so you will not find much of color difference. You are agree, but that also by seeing some kind of trials, we can able to adjust. Like we can place the order like one tone darker, lighter. We can do based on that.
Okay, Ashok, could you please once the meeting completed, could you please share that thread details in our group.
Yes, sir.
It
I
is
can
easy
give that
for all of
technical
us
data sheet
because
of.
yeah, technical data sheet of the cell, because we have a lot of common textiles in our market. Okay,
Yes.
so it is very useful to all.
You can take the course people, technical people also. You to factory and ask their suggestions.
Yeah,
They will give a lot of things.
yeah,
Because
whatever maybe the
course has
whatever
done
maybe
this
the
trial for last 15 years, so you'll get a lot of ideas.
okay, whatever maybe the sharing things.
Yeah,
the
I will do it.
concerned person have to take the trial, and then they have to select for the garment. I understand completely. You can share. Okay, good knowledge sharing. Thank you.
So all these trials has to be done before ordering the thread for a bulk. So before making the fit sample making, this all trials has to be done by the technician in the sample room with the communication with the merchandisers, and then they have to, before ordering, they have to finalize it, and they have to take the approval for the thread quality on the first fit sample. Whether the fit gets approved or rejected, that is not an issue. The fit can go for 2 fits, 3 fits, 4 fits, 5 fits is not an issue. The first fit is very important for the merchandiser and technician to take approval for the zipper length, the thread quality, interlinings, tape, lace, whatever you want. Take everything, use it the right quality, right kind of things in the first fit sample. Forget about the fit is having that kind of hiking, its shoulder is tight, drag line is there. That is all pattern corrections. We can do it till the time of making PP sample. Also, we can do it on PP. Also, sometimes we get comments that is because of bulk fabric. That is not an issue. But the first fit sample is very important. That time they have to take or because before making first fit sample, they have to do risk analysis meeting with the factories by using the proto samples or making some trial pieces and get all the feedback for the risk analysis, and to choose the right kind of trims which is required for the garment, whether in terms of the thread, what size of thread I'm going to use for a top stitching or attaching seams or overlock or a pocketing, lining, what interlining I'm going to use for different areas. So how it's going to be, what kind of grain I'm going to use, with seam margin, without seam margin, all these things. When using a lace, how much margin is required? Because lace, they give something like 10 mm, but when you're stitching into the garment, after doing the designing as per requirement, we may have only 2 mm for the operator to hold and stitch it. That is very difficult, because to stitch that one seam, he require 10 minutes or 2 minutes to stitch the garment. But when you give additional seam allowance of 3/8 inch as per the fabric we have in the garment, so he can able to sew it very fast and without any issue. We cannot have a very minute 1 mm or 2 mm giving the operator, telling him, okay, buyer has given the code, I ordered it, you use it like this only. So sample room, they can stitch for whole day, and he put a lot of stay stitches, and he will do all the things and tricks and do it. When it comes to bulk production, if you don't have the right amount of seam margin for attaching any trim, definitely it will lead to open seams, or it will lead to more time delay in bottleneck in the applications, a lot of quality issues, and we not get the production on time. So we have to make sure, should not follow blindly. The BOM buyer is giving nominated supplier 12 mm only I can do. Seam margin has to be decided by the factory or the technician or the sewing masters only. It cannot be decided by the merchandiser. It cannot be decided by buyer, because they doesn't stitch with the machine. They are not stitching. They can tell us, okay, I want 10 mm visible width of tape. That is okay. The design call we can give for making the 10 mm. Whether I need 6 mm seam margin or 8 mm seam margin or 10 mm seam margin, or kind of folder that I'm going to use. For example, some welt pocket I'm using it. So I need extra 1 inch allowance also. Is based on the industrial engineer or the technical designer or the sample room or production people has to take a call how much seam margin is required. So when you are ordering the trims, you just ask the people who are stitching the garment, they take the feedback from them. What is the right seam allowance? It will be easy to handle it and making it faster stitching. Because if you think, okay, 1 centimeter, if increasing it, my cost is increasing, so I will order this with the 3 mm only, means in production you will end up with giving more SAM for the operator, because there it take 3 or 4 times more time consuming, and there again we lose a lot of cost in that one, and also quality will get affected. So again, failures will be there in the seam. So seam margin is very important. We have to see what machine we are using, what kind of folder we are going to use, what automated machine we are using, how much margin is required. This all has to be decided by the technicians, not by the even buyer is telling, okay, you order this, that, and all, or nominated supplier. This all will not be useful, because most of the factory make mistake that one only. They say it's a nominated supplier. I cannot tell anything. They say.
Ashok, I think Vignesh is having some questions. Yes, message chat box. 390 GSM fabric. Shall we use Text 60? Vignesh, your question is correct.
Is this for top stitching or is this for attaching seams?
Yes, sir. It was a top stitching, sir.
I will tell you clearly. top stitching is the outer look of the thread which is visible outside of the garment. We have to follow as per the design requirement. If the designer says I want text, if you're saying ticket, okay, text 60. If the designer says I want text 80 or text 100, we have to follow as per the design requirement only. I'm just telling you, top stitch, whatever is coming outside of the garment, visible, that has to be based on the tech pack. Is that clear? If the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Clear.
I'm telling you, but in that case also we cannot everything follow as per the BOM. If we feel like if the buyer sometimes they give 105 thread, thicker thread for a poplin fabric also, linen fabric also. But what happen if you use a heavy thread, heavy needle? Because when you increase the thread size, you have to increase the needle size also. When it will happen with the lightweight fabric, you will create holes and damages. So those cases which is not compatible, if the BOM says higher thread also, we can go back to the customer and tell this fabric this is not suitable. I want, because of the lightweight fabric, I can do only text 60 only. We can do it. Okay, but if it is possible to stitch 105, we can do it. So that is what I'm telling. Top stitch is different. When comes attaching seams, which are doing the run stitch to attaching both panels or inside, for 390 GSM, text 60 thread is okay. For
Okay, sir, I understand.
Top stitching, if the customer wants 60 also, you can use it, or if it's more also, you can use it. Top stitch is based on the designer's call. Inside attaching seams or overlock will be technician's call based on the seam strength is requirement. For 390 GSM, I'm okay with text 60, because if you see 160 GSM or 180 GSM, what we're doing right now for a knit t-shirts, the kind of thread they're using is text 30, I think. Mutraj? Hello?
Sir, tell me, sir.
Oh, inner size thread for 180 GSM.
What are you sir? Sir, நம்ம இப்ப போடுறது நார்மல்
text அவங்க வந்து நார்மலா text 30 இல்ல text 27 ஸ்பன் பண்ணி தான் போடுறாங்க. நீங்க text 60 நீங்க ஸ்பன் பண்ணி போடலாம். 27 சார். 27. சோ அதான் சொல்றேன். 27 வந்து நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா 60ங்கிறது டபுள் ஆகும். உங்களுக்கு அது 160ங்கிறது உங்களுக்கு இது 400 GSM வந்துரும். text 60ங்கிறது ஓகே. ஆமா சார். நீங்க thread chart பாத்தீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு அந்த ஸ்ட்ரெngth எல்லாம் கொடுத்திருப்பாங்க. attaching seams 60 ஓகே. நீங்க டாப் ஸ்டிச்சிங் நீங்க அதுக்கு மேல போட முடிஞ்சாலும் நீங்க போடலாம். பையர் எதுவும் கேட்கலன்னா நீங்க அப்படியே 60 எப்படி போட்டு முடிக்கலாம்.
கான்ட்ராஸ்ட் ஸ்டிச் கேக்குறாங்களா சார்? கான்ட்ராஸ்ட் அதுக்கு மட்டும் டாப் ஸ்டிச் 40 போறாங்க.
ஓகே. அது வந்து டிசைனரோட கால். அவங்க ப்ராமினென்ட்டா தெரியணும்னு நினைச்சாங்கன்னா we can put a thicker thread which will give the more prominent look. It's design call, design aspect of that we can do it. Text 60 for 390 GSM is okay. But we cannot use text 27 for 390 GSM. It will lead into failure. Okay. Is it
yes,
Vignesh?
Yeah, clear,
yes, sir.
clear, Ashok.
Yeah, clear, sir.
So all this exercise has to be done before ordering the thread. It cannot be done bulk thread உள்ள வந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் ஃபேக்டரியில போயிட்டு உட்கார்ந்து ஃபேக்டரியில ப்ரொடக்ஷன்ல மாத்த முடியாது. ஏன்னா thread needs to be reordered. Again, it has a lead time 2 weeks, 4 weeks. We have to stop the production. So you make sure thread, all this study on the thread has to be done at the sample before ordering for the bulk. These are the general guidelines we given for a blouse. Extra lightweight text 18 thread is there, is very fine, which is like a voile fabrics or even more finer silk and everything. We can use that text 80 polywrap polycore, very light medium thread text 24. Denim fabrics heavyweight will be like attaching seam 60, 80, 105 based on that. Because if you use 60, it can meet the requirement of the strength, but that seam strength and everything. But when you see stitching the thread text 60 on a denim fabric, you're not able to see the top stitch prominently. That's why designers will like one that denim means the look of the casual look will come based on the top stitching. They use double needle, triple needle, multi needles. They're using it. So they're using a stitch as a design element. So that time they're using a thicker yarn. It gives more kind of seam appearance. So they give that casual look of puckered look or everything using by increasing the thick yarn. So that's a design call to use the top stitch thread. Attaching and overlocking and other functions needs to be taken care by the technicians to meet the minimum seam strength requirement, pull strength requirement, small for attachment and attachment strength and everything. So looper thread, normally what we're using for needle, we always use one size or two size lower than that the top stitch needle. Because BOM says text 60, we don't need to use the same 60 for a bobbin also. If it says needle 60, we can use one size down to save the cost, and it's going inside only. Text 40 can be used. And if you're using a chain stitch, what will happen, the main drawback of chain stitch is you get the rough hand feel inside, like it will irritate also, it will be hard also. to make it more softer, we can able to use slightly finer thread for a chain stitch, because it's a loop formation. It's different from lock stitch. It will not be flat, so it will not irritate the skin. So to that we can use a finer yarn, because the chain stitch will have the stretchability, so it will not break easily. So the finer yarn also can meet this requirement. So if you're using a Tex 60, we can use a Tex 40 at the looper. If you're using Tex 80 also for lock stitch, we can use Tex 60. If it's a chain stitch, we can use Tex 80 and Tex 40 also at the looper. And also we have to maintain the stitch balance. And if it is there, we can able to proceed on that one. So for a lightweight dress skirts, we can use Tex 24 and 30. As I said, for lightweight cambric or voile, you use Tex 24. Poplin, we will use 40, Tex 30 or 40. Something twill fabrics will come Tex 60. Heavyweight canvas fabric or denim, we can use Tex 80, Tex 105. Sometimes denim we are using 150, 180 also we are using heavy yarn. That is all. In the normal sewing machine we cannot do it. There are machines called heavy duty machines, which is specialized to doing for heavy garments like canvas and denims. In that we can use that Tex 180 above 150 thicker threads.
Okay, Ashok.
Yes, sir.
Ashok, we already crossed the time. We can
Time, sir?
make a. What time is already 6:30. So I think the call will be not extended, correct?
I don't know. Now it's not
Hello?
showing how much is recording. The call is not disconnected. Still, it's running only.
Okay, then the third portion we can complete. Third, how many slides are there?
Thread portion is done. These are the basic things. The SPA, we can choose the SPA.
Then you can close the thread portion and
Yeah.
then we can continue.
We disconnect the call and we'll connect it again.
No,
thread, yeah. Okay, we'll do it today. We'll complete it today. Yeah.
No. For part 1, we can continue next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
The thread, another thing is after selecting the right size of the thread, then we have to select the SPA also. Normally attaching seams, we normally suggest to have minimum the 12 SPA should be there for attaching seams. And based on the wash programs, we will increase to 14 to 16 SPAs for wash programs to avoid that fraying at the seams. There should not be any kind of raw edges or fraying at the seams, so we can overlock, we can increase 16 SPA for wash programs. All stitches need to be secured with the 3 to 4 inches back tacking and with overlapping of half an inch, like for bottom hem or sleeve hem cover stitch, we used to overlap with half an inch. And if it is a lock stitch, we should have a 3 or 4 stitches back tacking. SPA to be also, as per the stitch material, we have to increase it. We have to use only the chain stitch for all the stretchable materials like knits and lycra content fabrics. We should not use a lock stitch to avoid the seam breakages. And we should not use a lock stitch for any pullover garment or the neck area or stitch fabrics or knits. These are different SPAs we are following. For pick stitching is 4 SPA, basting stitch is 4 to 5 SPA, blind stitch 4, lock stitch is 14 to 16. Lock stitch is for regular is 12 to 14 and wash.
But it will be very according to customer, correct?
It's a customer also, because this non-iron shirt is very fine yarn, they will use it, so there isn't one.
Yeah, I understand, but some customer is requesting 9 to 10, 10 to 11 also.
Yes.
So based on that, we have to decide.
Yeah. So wash program, we have to increase it. Non-wash program is 14 SPA. Wash program, we have to give 16 SPA to avoid fraying, because fraying issue knits will not be much, but in wovens will have that issue based on the weaves, and we have to have more SPA to cover that raw edges.
Yeah.
So that's all for today. Ashok, we can continue for
next.
Ashok,
Ashok, you can outcome the PPT. You can. Okay, team. Actually, the minimum construction is having 80 slides. Okay, so we're not able to take 80 slides in one day. So we plan to connect with the team of part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. 4 sections we have planned. This is the first section we have covered. I am recapping the meeting about the sampling, how to choose the sample and what are the sampling plan, and the construction about the patterning and thread. It was covered today's meeting.